Personally, I've always been a late bloomer. It took me a very long time to find my confidence, discover my strengths, and truly understand my potential. I always found myself growing into who I am a lot later than my peers because of social anxiety and personal life events. This sense of delayed growth is something I can relate to when I think about Serena from Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age. Serena, twin sister of Veronica, is a priestess who was raised in Arborea by her parents. She grew up in a peaceful environment, and both her and her sister faced their duty to protect the Luminary throughout the game, Serena as a healer and Veronica as an offensive mage. She's known as the quiet, polite, worrisome, shy twin. Her name Serena could be interpreted as a play on the word serene, which, if intentional, was a nice little addition to her character, and was a good detail to further express her calm nature. As players progress through the story, we meet Veronica first, who is endlessly searching for her sister in Hotto, relentlessly harassing the locals until she gets an answer, and immediately recognizes that our hero is the Luminary, and therefore won't leave his side. But when we first meet Serena, she doesn't really stand out as an interesting character or a battle powerhouse. In Act 1, she's mostly known for her healing abilities and being a little naive. She's great at keeping the party alive with her heal and zing spells, but her offensive abilities are limited. While she's definitely an asset to the team with her magic and healing skills, she doesn't really shine in the same ways as other characters like Sylvando or Eric. Both of them have stronger offensive capabilities. Eric is a fast and agile thief, while Sylvando is a charismatic fighter with some serious flair. Serena, on the other hand, is primarily there to keep everyone on their feet. Dragon Quest XI masterfully weaves personalities and combat skills together to match the characters. In this sense, Serena is a late bloomer in terms of her combat abilities. While she may seem like the quiet healer at first, this is only the beginning of her journey. Unlike other characters who got stronger earlier on, Serena's growth is more gradual both in battle and as a person. She's a solid support character, but there's so much more to her than what we see in the beginning. One of the most interesting parts about Serena's character arc is her constant comparison to her twin sister Veronica. From the very start, Serena struggles with feeling like she's living in Veronica's shadow. Veronica is confrontational, outspoken, bratty, always gets what she wants, and often the center of attention in every room she walks into. She makes her presence known, uses fiery magic that matches her attitude, and is a thorn in Eric's side. It feels like a callback to Stella in Dragon Quest IX, who shares similar traits, and Veronica can even wear a Stella costume post-game. Serena, on the other hand, is more reserved, isn't as acknowledged or appreciated by her party members, and lacks the confidence that Veronica seems to exude naturally. Serena is quieter, introverted, less sure of herself, and much more passive, often leaning on other people to save her. It's alluded in the game numerous times that she has a crush on the protagonist but doesn't want anyone to notice and never acts on it, which may have contributed to her feeling overlooked, as her twin was always loud and got his attention with ease without necessarily wanting him. She may have even felt a sense of shame and embarrassment that someone who looks physically 10 to the rest of the world was more capable than her. Serena even admits that she feels like she's not as strong or capable as her sister, and this comparison really weighs on her throughout the story. However, what Serena lacks in skills such as charisma and fighting ability, she makes up for in talent, maturity, and emotional intelligence. It feels overlooked that she can literally play a musical instrument, and the scene where she woke up next to her sleeping sister before the party enters Yggdrasil, she unintentionally predicted her death the night before it happened. Her intuition and foresight were very strong, and she had a better understanding of how to approach conflict than her sister, choosing to remain quiet and calculated to solve issues, whereas Veronica's big mouth and fiery magic always caused the scene and often got the party into more trouble than if she hadn't interfered at all.
Veronica? Huh?
However, as the story progresses, Serena realizes that she doesn't have to be just like Veronica to be valuable. She starts to see that her strengths lie in different areas, and that she has a unique role to play in the group. This moment of self-realization marks the beginning of her growth, not just as a fighter but as a person. It's a relatable journey, and many players can identify with the feeling of being compared to someone else, but eventually learning that they have their own worth. As the story moves forward, Serena's abilities start to expand, and she becomes more than just a healer. For example, Serena eventually learns spells like Boom and Whoosh, giving her the ability to make outnumbered monster battles quick and easy. As she gets better at both offense and defense, Serena becomes a more versatile and reliable character. While her combat skills are important, Serena's emotional growth is what truly defines her as a late bloomer. Serena gradually starts to step up and take on more responsibility. In the definitive edition of Dragon Quest XI, Act 2 starts with the party getting split up into different regions, and we find all of them through different chapters and they go through character development, which was a subtle callback to Dragon Quest IV, where you meet the party through chapters and then play as the protagonist after many hours. Also, Eric's chapter featured music from Dragon Quest IV as well. Oh, and side note, Eric's part was cold in the definitive version of Dragon Quest XI. Playing through that chapter is one of my favourite parts of the game. I love that chapter, and that part is just cold. I just had to say that. But anyways, Serena is the only character who does not have a solo story like Sylvando, Jade, Eric and Rab, which adds foreshadowing to what happens next. Serena is found alive and well trying to get home to Arborea again through the Sniffelheim pathway, and seemingly stronger than before. She uses her harp to paralyze and dispel an auroral serpent blocking the party from passing into the town, and then heals them all. After reuniting with them, they make their way to Arborea and finds her parents alive too. She can sense that Veronica is nearby and goes to her childhood grove to find her dead body. I find it very tragic and poignant that Serena was asleep at the start of the game when Veronica was searching for her, but at the near end of the game, Veronica was dead while Serena searched for her, assuming she was also asleep.
Wake up, lazy bones! You'll catch cold sleeping outside like this.
This was an underrated moment in the game, and something I haven't really seen people talk about, but it was a pivotal moment in her character arc. Serena appears steadfast despite her grief. She stood at the front of the memorial giving a public speech to her family and residents. She is seen playing her harp in the rain, reminiscing on everything she went through.
She was right, you know. I always have been slow. When it came to talking, or walking, or learning magic, I was always a step behind her.
She acknowledges that it's time for her to become her own individual and grieves her old self by crying one more time with the luminary by her side. Serena cuts her hair short. Her big chop signifies a new beginning in her life. Women having long hair has stereotypically been described as their most prized possession, so this wasn't just an Arborean tradition. It was a personal sacrifice, a symbol of rebellion, change and spiritual detachment, everything she was stepping into. I can personally resonate with this as I cut my hair before I became homeless and had to navigate life by myself, and it was my first time doing it as well. It really changed me as a person, and that's why I can relate to her. At this point, Serena's skill tree allows her to cast powerful spells like Grace of the Goddess, which lets her revive in battle if she is slain, and Multi-Heal, which heals every party member to almost full health. She also gains very offensive magic like Kaswoosh and Thwack. She now outclasses Rab as a healer in every way. She starts to take on more leadership responsibilities in terms of combat and emotionally supporting the group. For example, when the party is facing tough challenges, Serena will step up to offer her wisdom and guidance, becoming a more active participant in key decisions. This emotional maturation is just as significant as her growth in battle. It's very ironic that her sister physically went from a girl to a child, and Serena emotionally went from a girl to a woman. She finds her voice, not just as a magical powerhouse, but as a leader in her own right. The change from a shy and unsure character to someone who confidently leads and helps her companions is essential to her character development, and it really shows how far she's come since the beginning of the game. This is especially evident when we enter the Fortress of Fear and she snappily gets rid of the fake Veronica, despite being taunted by a ghost.
Go on, be off with you!
By the end of the main game, Serena has fully transformed. Her late blooming nature is what makes her such a compelling character for me. She doesn't immediately stand out the way that the other characters do in the story, but as the game progresses, she blossoms into a key player fighting against the forces that are trying to destroy the world. Serena's story shows that growth doesn't always happen overnight. It takes time to understand her. It takes time for a character to realize their full potential. And Serena's story is a perfect example of how patience and perseverance can lead to powerful transformation. If I had to personally describe her, I would say she's like a fine wine. She's no longer just the party's backup plan. She's the most useful party member in the game. She's an active participant in battles. Her journey from a timid healer to a strong magic user is a perfect example of how characters in Dragon Quest XI can grow in unexpected ways, and Serena's transformation is especially satisfying because it feels earned. It's one of the most satisfying character arcs in the game. Serena shows us that growth doesn't always happen quickly, but when it does, it can be incredibly impactful. I love Serena because she reminds me of me. I've always been given the label of being slow, or just lagging behind everyone else my age because of my past. I've always been told your time will come one day, whilst everyone else sort of had theirs earlier on in their lives, and felt like I can't keep up with others because they had it easier and with support systems too. I still haven't experienced most things that people my age would have experienced by now or even younger. But experiencing homelessness in 2024 forced me to come to terms with loss and grief. Experiencing things like losing my possessions, having to move house 3 times in 6 months, and coming to terms with the fact that certain people aren't in my life anymore. But overall, it made me into a much more assertive person. I went from being passive and too scared to live my life to someone that doesn't care what anyone thinks of me and is always able to stand up for myself, and got better at things that I was already doing, like makeup, fashion and drawing. I have to thank the Dragon Quest team for making a character that portrays something that isn't really talked about, an inexperienced young girl taking life at a slower pace than her peers and gradually turning into a woman. And that is why Serena is the best character in Dragon Quest XI. Anyway, that was the end of that topic, and yeah, let me know your thoughts, and that's basically why Serena is so special to me, and in my opinion the best character in Dragon Quest XI, contrary to popular belief of it being Sylvander. But anyways, that's me.